Hey guys, what's up? It's Jonathan, obviously. I always look down here, but is it weird? Is it better if I look up there, or is it down here? I honestly just wanted to stop by really quick. I don't have a lot of time. I'm trying to do my selfish act or my self-care act and kind of just spend some time by myself. And actually, I'm almost in tears because it really does feel really good. Just a couple things that I wanted to touch base with you guys with real quick was don't waste time. And I know that's probably let's see, pretty vague statement, but seriously, and I mean this when I say it, I'm looking up some stuff about travel. I'm planning on hopefully, I'm not planning on hopefully, that's horrible. All that self-doubt all the time comes in our heads. I'm actually getting ready to start planning for a trip to Cambodia, Thailand, and Vietnam, probably by I'm thinking it'll be roughly this time 1 year from now. It's probably going to be a 3-month trip. I got some trips coming up in between then. But I will say, life is just too short. Hey, Marissa, life is just way too short. And a lot of us are taking advantage of that, you know, putting off. And I guess I'm kind of in the travel mindset because I'm watching different things about that. But a lot of us get stuck in this mindset that we think we can wait till tomorrow. Whether it's, hey Brenda, whether it's for, hey Betty got her bracelet today, what? We get stuck in this mindset that we think we can wait till tomorrow to make the change. We think we can wait till, you know, next week to start our diet or our meal plan, or to travel, or to see the world, or to get married, or to tell somebody that we love them. And I just wanted to say that if there's something that you want to do, if there's something that's on your heart or on your mind, I'm getting ready to plan. I don't think you caught the tip of this video, the beginning of this video, but today's my self-care day and I'm kind of just stepping away. And it feels really good, but I also want to talk to you guys because, well, you guys are the closest part of me. But I'm getting ready to plan a trip. It's going to be about a year from now. It's probably going to be about 3 full months because my kids are getting just of age. I'm planning on doing 3 full months in like Vietnam, Cambodia, and Thailand. I'm going to have some trips, obviously, that you guys will join me in between now and then. And you're probably like, well, how do you pay for that? Because I'm broke, obviously. I live in a trailer with my mom. I just had to sell my car. You know, I honestly don't worry myself about the money. I went on a study abroad a few years back. And the first thing they told me, that was the most expensive trip I've ever. That month in Nottingham, England cost me like $10,000. I don't know how I came up with the money, but the one thing that they seeded in my mind is stop worrying about the money. Once you believe you're going to do it and you believe you're going to go, you believe you're going to lose weight, you believe you're going to get in shape, you believe you're going to get that house, you believe you're going to have a happy relationship, you believe in yourself, everything else just falls into place. I don't know how the hell I just, you know, traveled recently. I don't know how. I didn't even want to tell anybody about this, but me and my son have been traveling. He's getting ready to get older now, my youngest one. I just had a pretty fulfilling day with my older son, but me and my younger son have been working pretty vigorously to, we're going to spend 2 weeks. We have 28 days left till we leave, but he's been working really hard. He's been working, like last week, he worked almost 50 hours, and he's a dishwasher at a Mexican food restaurant down the street. Worked almost 50 hours, and we've been planning for a trip to Maui, Hawaii. He's already bought his plane ticket. I've already bought my plane ticket. So in 28 days we leave. I was going to keep that quiet, but it kind of goes with what I'm talking about. So I'm trying to, if I leave one thing behind to my children, I'm just trying to show them, hey, anything's possible. Like, I'm struggling. I have a hard time paying my bills, but I'm going like extra full force to make this happen because we're gonna go. We can't afford to stay at a place or whatever when we go to Maui. So we rent a car. We're renting a car. Hopefully, if we come up with the money. It's so expensive. I think I'm about halfway there right now, but oh my gosh. But we can't afford accommodations, so we're going to be camping, and you even have to pay for camping. Depending on the spot, it could be like $20 to $40. But we're going to be there for 2 weeks and go around Maui and stuff like that, which should be really fun. But I'm trying to leave one thing to my kids, is to show them that anything is possible. Anything. Granted, yes, I cannot personally turn into a nuclear bomb and blow up the entire world. And don't take that in the literal sense, as far as, yes, I understand some things are not possible. But if you leave anything behind to your kids or to the ones that are around you, or even yourself, realize that life is way too short, man. It is. The reason I'm doing these things, the reason I'm pushing, and I'm almost in tears thinking about it right now, because you literally could wake up tomorrow and walk out into the street and get hit by a car, and it's gone. It's gone. If there's somebody you love, if there's somebody that you haven't talked to for a while and you've been putting off calling them, call them. By all means, call that person and tell them, hey, I know we haven't talked for a while. The last time we were talking, it was on bad terms. Maybe it's a sister, a brother, or whatever, or a loved one, an ex, or whatever. Maybe there's some unhashed business that you need to be able to, talk about or whatever. Just remember that no matter what aspect of life that you're going through, do not put things off. Don't put off your weight loss. Don't put off traveling the world. Don't put off telling somebody that you love them. Don't put off giving somebody a damn hug. Okay? Don't put off anything. If you aspire to dream anything, wake up and plan for it immediately. If you have to meal prep to get your meals right, do it. Don't you dare wait. I'm serious. I don't talk about this a lot, but I can actually talk about it finally, because when I had a thrift store, my ex-wife and I owned a thrift store, and we were going through the divorce. She didn't want to be with me anymore. I spent all my life savings trying to rebuild the relationship and everything like that. And one night I got broken into at the store, and this guy caused about $10,000 worth of damage. I didn't know what I was going to do to be able to fix it. And I had the guy on camera, and the cops said, well, we'll see what we can do. Never did anything. And I guess there was some riffraff or some stuff going. I wasn't living right. Like, I was a pothead, you know what I'm saying? Like, I was drinking and stuff. I wasn't the world's worst person, but I wasn't living completely right. I was smoking 4 packs of cigarettes a day. I was living like shit. And to be honest, my ex-wife was probably in her best interest to move on, because I wasn't ready to grow at the time. I wasn't in a position where I was mentally ready to flip that switch. So, and I'm trying to help you understand why you don't need to waste time, why you can't waste time. So a few weeks go by after I got the store got broken into, and I thought I had done something wrong, so maybe that was karma, right? Well, a few weeks go by, and I'm trying to get a drill, because the guy ripped off my signs. I knew who he was. He was a tweaker in the neighborhood that always went through my donations, always kind of a problem, but I kind of was friends with him. He came around a lot and whatever. But he came around, did all those things, and I guess it raised a red flag in the neighborhood about my store or something. I don't know what happened. Anyway, long story short, this guy comes up, and in Arizona, these tweakers, they will ride around on the bikes or whatever, and they got I call it the tweaker trailer behind them. It's like a kid trailer, and they put all their random stuff in there or whatever to go recycle and stuff like that. And I'm not judging anybody. I actually am very humbled by talking with people that are of a lower means, like myself, because a lot of the times you meet the truest people on the bottom. People that would do literally anything for the next person. So don't ever think I'm trying to judge anybody. But this guy, he comes up, he's obviously what I think is a drug addict or whatever. And I'm like, he's like, hey, dude. And he's got a kid in the cart, right? And the kid was real grubby looking and stuff like that. I felt bad for him. And he goes, hey, dude, do you know anybody that wants to buy a drill? Now, hold up, because here's the funny thing. Here's the funny thing. And 2 hours before that, I had the shittiest friends. All my friends were drug addicts. They were just mooching off me to try to get, stoned or drunk or party or whatever. I didn't realize all that at the time. This was 6-7 years ago. I didn't, and maybe even longer than that now. I don't even know. I haven't thought about it for so long. But I actually had called everybody about a drill, my friends and everything. And these were grown men. The guy that broke into my store stole all my tools. I had no way to hang up my signs for my business again. So I was calling everybody, asking everybody for a drill. And I'm like, dude, I got like 10 friends. Nobody's got a drill. So this guy shows up. He's got a drill for sale. And I'm like, you got a drill for sale? And he's like, dude, I just need to feed my kid. I'm trying to sell this drill. You got 20 bucks? And I'm like, dude, it's no big deal. Here's 30 bucks. I take the drill. It's whatever. I go back into my store. Couple weeks later, it was about a month later. I'm closing the store for the day. My ex-wife is no longer a part of the business. I'm running the business by myself. It's like 6 o'clock at night. The sun's going down. I go to lock the door, and I don't know if you know, but I've lived that life. I know what an undercover cop car looks like, and I'm locking my door, and an undercover cop car pulls up behind me. So I don't think nothing of it. The night before, I got in kind of a scuffle with a couple guys because I was drinking, and they did whatever in my truck, and it was a mess, right? I didn't think I was ever going to tell this story here. But so the undercover cop comes up, and he goes, hey, are you Jonathan Garrett Alsop? And I'm like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, hey, man, I'm sorry about this, but can you turn around, put your hands behind your back? You have the right to remain silent, blah, 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 blah. So I get arrested. So I'm sitting in there for 4 hours in interrogation, right? 4 hours. And it's like the movies. Bastards. They let me sweat it out, man. I had no clue what was going on. I got in a pretty big fight the night before. I'm not going to go into the details or whatever, but it didn't end well. So I thought for sure, the guy, in my defense, I had 44-inch tires on my truck, which is really big. They were about $1,000 a tire, and my neighbor slashed my tires for parking in front of his house. So I was a little bit upset. That's what the fight was broken out about. Beyond that, I'm sitting there and I'm like, hey, I got to call my kids. I'm a single father. I need to get in control, get a hold of my kids. And he's like, no worries. Don't worry about it. He's like, where's the drugs? Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, what? So now I'm kind of like, okay, this obviously has nothing to do with that fight, whatever. I'm like, whew, like pretty relieved or whatever, to be completely honest. So then I get to the point and I'm like, all right, well, what the hell is this about? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, dude, I got mad. I'm like, I need to go, and they're like, you're not going anywhere. You can make one phone call and then you're going to Madison Street Jail. So they put me in the Horseshoe for 3 days. 3 days I sat in that stinky little bastard ass of a jail, which it's called the Horseshoe because you literally go in a horseshoe over and over and over and over and over, and they just cycle you through. They cycle you through so many rooms, and there's hundreds of people puking, throwing up, withdrawing, getting pissed, fighting, just pissing all over the place. It's just a madhouse. And they cycle you so much. It's almost like by the time you're nodding out with 25 people on a single bunk bed, concrete slab, when there's just barely enough room, to stay somewhat sane, so cold because they try to fight infection, they slam you into the next room. And then they do that over and over. For 3 days, I didn't sleep 1 wink. You have to, defecate in a room with, 85 dudes. And it's just, there's no wall around the toilet. It was kind of personally demeaning. So after that, I don't even know why I'm talking about this. Basically, don't waste your life. If you have something you want to do, if you want to lose weight, if you want to travel, if you want to do anything, get your ass up and start doing it now. That's where this story's going. I'm serious when I say it. It's not a freaking joke. Life is way too fragile, way too fast, and it will literally slip right through your fingertips if you do not wake up. So they bring me back to interrogation after 3 days of letting me sit there. Obviously, I had my mom go get my kids and stuff. It was no big deal. And as far as that was concerned, they took me back, and he goes, "Hey, you remember that drill you bought, a month ago or whatever?" And I'm like, "What do you mean the drill?" "Yeah, I'm like, "When you mean when I was broken into?" And he's like, "Yeah, sorry, just to let you know, that was an undercover police officer, and you bought stolen property." And I'm like, "Wait, what?" I'm like, "I bought stolen property. Like, I was paying my taxes. I was doing everything right. Yeah, I was getting stoned and partying like a dumbass, and I wasn't being the best role model to my kids and stuff at the time. And I was going through a divorce, and it was heavy shit. Like, I was having a hard time. But I didn't knowingly know that I was buying stolen stuff." And I'm like, "Wait a minute, isn't that entrapment?" I'm like, "How can you get away with that?" And he's like, "Well, not in the state of Arizona. There's no such thing as entrapment." He's like, "We can literally do any kind of sting we want." And I'm like, "Okay, so what?" I'm like, "All right, I understand that. Okay. All right. Well, what do we got to do to get this over with?" Like, I'm not trying to say, maybe I should have done further investigation on the drug addict I thought, which was shitty because I was like, really? He was an undercover cop? I was like, that was a rough-looking cop. Anyway, the moral of the story is they let me out of jail, obviously, because I had no priors. Not even anything, nothing. Clean slate, right? They had nothing on me. So what it ended up being is they ended up opening the case. The reason they were doing it is because in the neighborhood behind my store, which was not a real good store, was apparently riddled with like drug use and stuff like that. And there was like a ring of like stolen goods, and they thought maybe I was the outlet for that or whatever. So, and that's not the shittiest part. And I'm trying not to cuss because a lot of people have been asking me not to cuss. I'm trying to show respect. Please notice. I go back, so when I pause, usually it's me trying to edit my cuss words. When I go back to court, I go to the Mesa Superior Court, which is like a traffic violation court, whatever, it's supposedly not a big deal. So I go in there and I get the public defender, or I like to call him the public pretender, because he literally, I go up there and they go, "You're being charged with a class 4 felony for trafficking in stolen property." And I'm like, "A felony? A felony? I'm being charged with a felony." And I'm like, that's my whole future. I'm like, you can't charge me with a felony. Like, I'm not going to be able to get a job. I'm not going to be able to. How am I going to support my kids? You know what I mean? Like, I was just like buckling mentally. I'm going through a divorce. My wife is leaving me. Um, and this and that. And anyway, it comes a little bit further after that, and we go into the court, and they offer me a plea bargain. It's like a misdemeanor, class 6 misdemeanor, 6 months unsupervised probation, and just shove it under the rug. And I'm like, done. My public defender speaks up and he goes, no, 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 no. That's a shit deal. We don't want it. He's like, John, we're going to take this over to the Phoenix court. I got some pull over there. We'll get you a better deal. And I'm like, well, you know, and I'm like, that's a pretty good deal. I'm like, they're getting rid of the felony. It's 6 months unsupervised probation. I'm like, well, I just won't smoke weed for 6 months. You know, I'm thinking this might not be such a bad idea. I could get clean, get better shape or whatever, and, you know, that could be okay. He goes, no, don't take it, John. Trust me. This is my job. Trust me. I'll walk you through this. I'll send it over to this. Don't take the plea bargain. So what do? I take his advice. I don't. $20 stolen drill, by the way. And I still had the drill. This is what pissed me off. I wasn't trafficking shit because I offered to give them the freaking drill back. I had it. I had the drill. Take the drill. So I go over to Phoenix court. Well, Mesa court, which is like my city, and then Phoenix is like the hub. So Mesa court is like a traffic, petty stuff, you know, traffic violations and stuff like that. But I didn't realize when you go to city court or Phoenix court, it's where Sheriff Joe Arpaio is, and it's not city traffic petty violations anymore. It's criminal court, specifically for only people that are being charged with pretty significant crimes. It's like where the murderers go and everybody like that goes. So I go there, and my first day in court, I'm like expecting, I'm looking around, and I'm like, okay, where's the public defender? You know, okay, he's not here. And they're like, some court lady comes up to me and she's like, okay, so you have a new lawyer. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it's a different person now. And she's like, yeah, well, and I'm sorry, but I know it's the first appearance, but your lawyer or your public defender can't make it today, and he's not sure he's going to make it to the next appearance either. And I'm like, at the time, I was kind of like, okay, no big deal, I guess. I guess that's no big deal because I don't know anything. I go into the courtroom, and it comes my turn. And they go, well, you denied the first plea bargain. So apparently they saw that as me laughing in their face. And I was not laughing in their face. I have problems with authority, but I believe in our justice system. I believe, you know, in democracy and stuff like that. I believe in just everything, the system. It's okay. I'm okay with it. This kind of crushed my beliefs a little bit. But I go into the courtroom, and they say, well, since you didn't like the first plea bargain, here's your next one. You're getting it. If you take this through this process, two things are going to happen. Excuse me. One of two things are going to happen. Either the first thing is you're going to be charged with or trafficking in stolen property, and you take the charge today, and you serve 1 year minimum 1 year in prison if you get on, and if you get out on good terms. If you have any other kind of hiccups, you could serve up to a 5-year sentence. The other alternative is you can fight it, and if you win, or if you lose, if you win, you get that year. If you lose, you're going to prison for 10 years. Now, I was going through a divorce at the time. My lawyer's not there. I don't know what's going on. I didn't really want to live anymore. And the only thing that I knew I needed to fight for was the two little guys that were sitting at home that were going to lose their dad. And because maybe he made a bad choice or whatever it was. And so I get back to the store. A couple weeks go by. I'm finding out information. I'm just blown away. I'm like just existing. I wasn't really in my head and wasn't sure what to do. So I started thinking about my life. And maybe I was the bad guy. You know, maybe I deserved jail time. And then as I'm thinking that, I look outside of the store, and I was working on some stuff. I look outside of the store, and there's a cop out front. And I'm like, now what the fuck's going on? And it had been a while since, about 6 months had gone by since I'd seen my wife. I was crushed by that. You don't know what you have until it's gone. I'll tell you that. The divorce really destroyed me, who I was as a human, which is good because I was not who I am today. So I'm thankful for that. I opened the door and he's like, "Can you step outside for a minute?" And I'm like, I've seen a lot of cop shows. I'm like, oh crap, what the hell's gonna happen? You know, I'm going, is he gonna tackle me or what's going on? Like, you know, I'm already freaked out because of the stuff. So I walk outside, I look over, there's my ex-wife with her new boyfriend. And the cop goes, "Come on over." And she comes over. My ex-wife's name is Julie. She comes over. Oh, that's hard to say. That's still hard to say to this day. She comes over, and she's got some paperwork, right? And she goes, the divorce was finalized today. I just wanted to give you this. And this is the paperwork you've been served. I'm here to take ownership of the store. And I'm like, you're what? You're taking like our business? Like, you're taking that? Like, I don't have the ability to provide an income for my children because we don't have common children. We had children separately from other people or whatever. And she's like, well, and the cop's like, I'm not here to start to transfer ownership. You can fight this. You can do whatever. I'm just here to keep the peace. But her paperwork does say she was awarded the business. And I don't know if you guys are commenting. I'm trying to focus on my conversation. My conversation with myself. No, I'm talking to you guys. So I'm looking at potential, 10 years in prison, losing my kids. I lost my wife. I just lost my business, it looks like. She showed up with her new boyfriend, and she was 6 months pregnant. And we had tried for a really fucking long time to have a baby. So, sorry. That's awkward. Shit. So I guess I really didn't see all this coming. And I was on my way to, after that, The cop's like, hey, look, you don't have to transfer ownership. I'm just here to keep the peace, right? And I'm like, you know what? No, just, I left all the money in the cash register. I left all the stuff in the store. I said, no, that's it. I said, I'll go get the keys for her. I went inside. I got the keys. I handed her, and I said, I don't ever want to see you again. I said, I wish you the best. I hope you have a beautiful life. So I went home, and I started doing a lot of thinking, and I was like, and I suffer from a lot of mental stuff. I'm bipolar. I always tell you about that. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm just saying I suffer from things. And it's real. It's a realistic thing. But like depression was like you couldn't believe. There wasn't a single day that went by that I thought I deserved to even be alive. And damn, I did not expect to talk about all this shit. What the hell is going on? Sorry. But so I got to closer to the court date. I'll speed up my talking, I'm sorry. I got closer to the court date, which was mandatory 1 year in prison. I stockpiled hygiene products. I stockpiled toilet paper, shampoo, conditioner, clothes for my kids, all those things so that they could be taken care of for the year that I was going to be gone in prison. I also, on my own, not on probation, not charged with anything, came to the realization that I was driving down the road. I remember the exact moment. I was driving down the road, and I don't know if you've ever done this, but you have your hand out the window and you're going like this or whatever, you know, cruising with your hand, and you're feeling that flow. And I was thinking, I was driving down the road, and I started thinking that they're going to take that away from me. They're going to take these 2 children away that I've fought for my entire life. I'm not the perfect dad. Most of my life, I've been a pretty shitty dad. But the one thing I've never done is leave my kids behind. I got custody, full sole custody of them when they were 2.5 years old and 3 weeks old. They were tiny. And it was being taken from me. And when I had my hand out the window, I was like, that's the one feeling I might not get to feel anymore. And who knows what could happen while you're in prison. You could get in a fight, you could get stabbed. You know, I was living a pretty rough life. I had already been stabbed 3 times in my life up till that point. You know, I'm kind of a fighter. Like, I don't get along with a lot of guys because I have issues with like being beat up a lot and stuff when I was younger or whatever. And I knew that it wasn't just going to be a year. Okay. It would end up worse in that mindset. So at that point, at that freaking point, I realized that even if they were going to take that away from me, I had to prove to myself and to those 2 little guys. I guess they weren't too little, but they were pretty small still, 10, 11, 12 years old or whatever, a little bit younger maybe. I had to prove to them that no matter what I was facing, I could still be as good as I can. So 6 months before I went into the sentencing, I quit smoking weed. I quit smoking cigarettes cold turkey. I got a job at Home Depot. I enrolled in college. I started changing my life like you wouldn't believe. I actually got a full-time job at the college, plus going to school. I was doing 23 credit hours per semester and working 2 jobs, one full-time, one part-time. I quit doing all that crap I was doing in my life, and I completely was changing everything. This is pre-sentencing, because I knew once that day came, no matter what the freak they were going to tell me, I knew as long as I felt that I did everything I could do, that I wasn't going to lay down and I wasn't going to take those charges because, and even if they were going to give them to me, I knew I was living my life in the most positive fashion probably ever to date. Ever. I'm not joking. Ever. To this point, I was literally not living a good life. So I went to the sentencing and I got up there and I went alone. I didn't want to go with anybody. I didn't want anybody to go there with me. I was prepared to go to prison that day. Went in there. I got to the judge and I said, he said, okay, this is your charges, blah, 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 blah. He looks at it. I could see it on his face. You know when you can see on their face? Because I'll be honest, like I'm all tatted up. I look like a thug. You know what I'm saying? I just do. I have that demeanor. A lot of people say when they meet me, you know, this is one thing you guys get to see the real me, but my first image for people is they feel that they're intimidated by me or whatever. And so my first impression, you know, with a judge or whatever is could be bad. But I felt that he was going to charge me and send me to prison. So I said, hey, before you say anything, can I say something? You know, because this is a big day for me. And I told him I've been going to school. I started going to school. I got my GED. I forgot about that. I did get my GED. I never got my GED up to this point. I went to 6 months or like 4 months of classes because I couldn't go to college until I got my GED. I couldn't add. I couldn't do anything. I could barely read. You know, I suck at all those things, and I've always sucked at those things, but I started pushing for it because I had a reason. I went and took my GED, and on your GED, you can get between 1 and 800 score on, they do 5 tests, math, reading, writing, social studies, blah, 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 blah. 800 would be a perfect score. I got an 800 on all 5. All freaking 5. I wasn't as stupid as I always thought. I really wasn't. And that set me up. That set me up. You know, I was so stressed out about it and about life or whatever, and I got an 800 on everything. I aced the GED. How did I even do that? I was just blown away. So when I got there in the courtroom, I started talking to him, and I know you guys that bear with me. I'm sorry, this is a long video. I just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about me. I don't always get to talk about it, but when I told him my story of all these things that I had changed in my life, and I told him why and stuff, he literally said this. He goes, this is the biggest waste of resources I've ever seen in my life. He said, you're on 6 months unsupervised probation. He said, I'm sorry it went to criminal court. I can't get rid of the felony. Have a nice day. And I left the fucking court. I didn't go to prison. I didn't go to prison. I got home. I talked to my probation officer. I saw her once. She called me the next month. She goes, you're off probation. Have a good life. And that was it. And I'll tell you what. At this time, I was 30. That's how I can gauge it. Yeah, it was 6 years ago. At this time, I was 30 years old. I was working at Home Depot. I have a felony now. I kept my job at Home Depot specifically because I can't get another job. I can't necessarily go just jump into another job. Am I letting that stop me? No. Obviously, I'm finding a way around it. Okay, I'm believing in myself, because just because you got a record or you got something hanging over you, you know, I don't share that kind of stuff, you guys. I feel vulnerable sharing that. I feel like everybody's going to dip out on me, you know, because it sucks. But what I'm saying is, don't let yourself wait till you hit rock bottom. Don't wait until you have to have that kind of stuff to happen. Most, if not all of that stuff could have been prevented if I would have made changes in my life prior to those. If I would have worked on myself and tried to be self-improvement, tried to self-improve on myself and develop myself better as a husband, it could have potentially been better. Maybe I wouldn't have had to see my ex-wife pregnant. Maybe I wouldn't have lost my store because my ex-wife would have been around and I wouldn't have been hanging out with bad characters. My store wouldn't have got broken into. But we are where we are because we're supposed to be there. I don't regret none of that. It took massive things to happen in my life. That's just a small fraction. That's one little piece of the things that it took me to change. Do not let shit like that happen to you. Don't wait until your life falls apart to make a change, or until your life ends. Seriously, you guys, I'm telling you guys this because some people will not be able to make it through that kind of stuff, okay? Some people, you know, my brother committed suicide and, you know, shot himself in the head, and everybody believes something different in my family, but the reality is it happened. And if you wait to make a change, things like that could happen. If you wait to tell a loved one that you love them, or to reach out because somebody's having a hard time and you see it but you put it off, don't put it off. You could be gone tomorrow. They could be gone tomorrow. Do not procrastinate on anything that you want to do. If you want to travel the world but you think it's irresponsible, I don't give a damn. Do it. This is your life. If you want to be a musician but your dad wants you to be a lawyer, follow your dream. Don't follow anybody else's. Don't ever, ever live a life based on how somebody else wants you to live it. This is your life. You get one freaking chance, you guys. I seriously love the hell out of all of you, and when I see some of you guys are not pushing like I know you can. Don't wait until it's gone too damn far. Because you know what? I bounced back. Not everybody can. Not everybody has the time to. I don't know if I'll be gone tomorrow. Neither do you. None of us do. You guys, I freaking love you guys. Don't procrastinate. Don't take time. Do not give up this one freaking chance you have at life. And I'm serious when I say it, man. I'm serious when I say it. Change your life before your life fucking changes you. And it ain't always going to be for the better. I love you guys. Remember to be stronger than your excuses. And remember, spread love, not hate. Peace. Mwah.